Okay, hello, welcome to this video that is me breaking down the production of my song that's titled CD. So yeah, I produced this whole song by myself. I did all the chords and like all the drums or whatever, kicks stuff, right? Obviously the stuff that's already supplied by, the FL Studio software, but still, right? I produced a song, okay? Mixing and mastering, everything done by me, okay? Of course, this song, first I want to say it doesn't have any vocals, of course, because I just couldn't think of any singing ideas or any lyrics or any rapping ideas to put on this song, really. And also, really, the instruments sounded really good just by themselves, and I just want to hear the instruments by themselves because it just sounds really good with the electric guitars, with the clap, the kicks, and the snare drum, and just the way it changes with the different chords when it switches up a little bit, right? It's not a huge switch up, but it's just changing the chords of the electric guitar and then removing the guitars. But anyways, so with this video, first I'm going to start with how the song starts with the original electric guitars, and then how it changes a little bit with the electric guitars changing a little bit, and then of course there's the start with the original electric guitar chords, and then there's then of course the clap, kicks, and snare drums, and then, like I said, the different electric guitar chords. So try to explain that properly. If you don't understand, just watch the rest of this video. I think you'll understand. But there's not much else I can say. But with electric guitars, right? I wanted it to sound really cool. So first, I'm just gonna show it how it started off with this. Now, originally this had an extra chord, but then when I added the extra chords of the right, it started sounding even better. So, and then I realized, oh wait, this doesn't need this extra chord and there's a lot of stuff I had to figure out, but it'd be a lot of explaining. So I feel like let's just listen to this first. So there's a space in between. So obviously, right, there's a space in between for the other chords that are put on top to stand out at the end of the loop, I guess. But first I'm going to show them by themselves, these extra electric guitar chords on top of that after. But I'm okay. These electric guitar chords by themselves. Okay, so then we listen to it, all this electric guitar chords together, and this is what it sounds like. Okay. So there's those electric guitar chords. Now we got to get into the clap, the kicks, and the snare drum. So first I want to start with this kick. Pretty simple. Just wanted to show how simple it is for a kick. But then when you add the snare drum, it starts sounding better, But first I'll show the snare drum by itself. I'm going to show all of the things by themselves first. Very simple, same chord, but played, right, it's spaced out, and played how it's put together and how it's spaced out, everything obviously. Because I wanted to keep in that sound of how that snare drum sounded. So then I have here what's played at the end of these parts, this kick. Sounds pretty cool, I like how it sounds. It really works well with the song, everything. So that's a really cool kick sound. And then we got the, very simple clap. It's not the same chord, right? At the end here, you can see it's a little bit lower. So just to speed things up a little bit, I'm just gonna quickly show how the kick sounds with the snare drum. Pretty cool. You know, you hear that at like the end of the song. Except for then you hear it, right, with the kick added on top of the other kick. And of course then, you know, you hear this in the song. So it's got this energy to it now because it has these kicks and this snare drum and then this clap. It's got this type of little bit of this type of speed. It's got this energy. I don't know if this would be something like, I guess you could dance to it. Yeah, it's pretty cool. It's a pretty cool dance beat. But like, yeah, it's got that type of energy. But what the most important thing about this is it helps add that energy on top of that energy of that electric guitar chords. So you have this rock sound, and then you have that both of these type of energy that both work together, and it makes it sound really good, right? Okay, so now we're gonna get into the part. So basically, I already pretty much broke down most of the production of the song already. So now the only part is really just the different guitar chords, the different part of the song where there's different guitar chords. It's basically the same electric guitar, but it's different electric guitar chords that makes it sound a little bit more different and feels like there's a little bit of a change in the song. And you know, of course, we still keep the same clap, kicks, and snare drum, but it still sounds good, right? That was the idea, right? We got to keep it sounding good, or at least it needs to sound, you know, it's got to still have the energy still, but it still has to change a little bit, right? But it's still like the same sound, just the different chords for the electric guitar chords. So let me see. Yeah, so like I said, I pretty much broke down most of the production of the song, you know, right? Because that's pretty much most of what the song's made of. Now we're just getting into like the last parts of the finishing touches, I guess, of the song. Well, we're getting close to that. So now we're getting to the different guitars, and these are the different electric guitar chords. So I just want to show a little bit more of that. So they're separate. You can see obviously if there's reasons why, because it's really trying to figure out to get that correct sound. Sometimes it's really complicated. Sometimes for me, I can't just like, it's not in one thing. You can't. Maybe for you, maybe for other people, but for me sometimes I just can't stay in that one thing. It's about the volume, it's about the sound, it's about sometimes I'm pitching things up so it can stand out more. So sometimes, right, for this specifically, so that this stands out, there's differences between, I don't want to get into it, but basically, because it would be a whole lot of explanation, too many details. So basically, for this, there's changes I made so that that could stand out more compared to, right, this part, right? So, right, it can stand out individually. So there's that, right? So then obviously when you have this added with the claps and kicks and snare drum that are the same snare drum and kicks and claps I already showed you, it sounds like this. Got that energy, right? It's got that energy, but it's a different sound a little bit, different electric guitar chords. But it is cool because it's cool to sound more. It's like a little bit of a longer chord because right we don't have these chords on top of it like the original thing there, right? How it starts, right? We switch it up a little bit and it's a little bit longer chord, but it still sounds good. So now I just want to get into this part of the song process, which is basically adding all these different patterns to, make this song. So, you know how the song starts. So this is the intro, right? This is the intro of the song, just, right? The really cool sounding electric guitar chords. And then, right, then it's like, okay, so then we go from that, we go to getting, the clap and the kicks and the snare drum, to add that energy. So then it feels like, okay, right, we have this epic, I guess epic or cool, whatever you want to say, this epic or cool electric guitar intro, right? It's like rock and roll, right, type of thing. And then you have, like, guess you could say maybe sound like heavy metal, the sound with the guitar, or you could say rock, whatever. Right? We could talk about different music genres, but then we get into like adding the energy with the clap, with the kicks, with the snare drum. Then it's it's really interesting, right? Now it's not like crazy, but it still has the energy that is grooving, it's moving. That's all I'll say. And right then there's the switch up, still keeps that same energy of that. And then obviously, oh yeah, this is very important, right? Good thing I didn't forget to mention this is, right, I did a thing where I have the instrument by itself, so it's this good transition from this part to going back to that part, so it makes it sound more unique instead of it just being like flat where it's just like, okay, we're just going to the next thing. Instead, it kind of is a surprise where we go from the clap, kicks, and snare drum, then it gets cut off, and it's just the guitar, and the guitar gets cut off because actually the last chord, instead it gets cut off at a specific chord, and it's a little bit of surprise, and it brings you back to the original guitar chords. So this part. So that's a little bit of a surprise, I think. Unless you've heard all the surprises, and yeah, music, that's fine. But it's still interesting, right? If you don't think it's surprising, it's still an interesting thing, an interesting detail in the song. So, and then there's this part, right? I kind of do the same thing with the electric guitar again, but with the different electric guitar chords, the ones at the start, and then right we go to, because we're going back to that, so then at the end of this one, because we're having a little bit of this, let me just play it. So that's those electric guitar chords by themselves, and then that leads into the outro, which is this. So I'll just go back a little bit. Okay, so then what happens is then I remove the clap from that, and then it sounds very interesting as the outro in the end, right? So I remove the clap, and it's just those two kicks, two different kicks, and then that snare drum, and it sounds pretty cool, right? And it's really good for an outro, right? It's better as ending the song than it being a song in itself, because it's about like switching it up and changing the sound, right? And that's what it is, right? There's times where it's fine to have like an instrumental loop, because especially if it sounds really good, then that makes sense. But sometimes it's better to change up those chords and change up things in the song, right? makes it sound more unique and more interesting, and it sounds more creative, obviously, because it is more creative, because you're adding more of these details, more of this artistic touch onto it. But sounds very interesting when we have go from the clap and the two kicks and the snare drum, and then down to two kicks and the snare drum, and then at the very end, to end the entire song, then I remove one of the kicks, and of course also the snare drum, and of course the clap also is gone, and at the end, right, there's just this kick. But I'm gonna play it again just so you understand what I was saying. And yeah, that's breaking down the production of the song that I made, titled CD. I'm not gonna say like I don't know what to really say. Like, obviously, it's just a really cool song with the sound of it, right, with the electric guitars. It's really cool with the intro and with like. Right, it's not crazy, but it's got that energy to it that's just, it's really cool. Those details. And you have and I just wanted to mention, right, I really do like that sound of like the dun 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 dun, like. See, and I really like that decision I made where I removed that chord so it could stand out more. Right, and that's really cool. There's so many different ways I could have made this song, but I think this is the best way I could have probably made this song sound. Maybe I could have added more instruments. Maybe I could have switched it up even more. Maybe I could have made the song longer. Maybe I could have made the song shorter. Maybe I could have made the song hit harder. Maybe made it sound crazier. Maybe the chords could have been maybe more crazier. Maybe it could have been more harsher sound. Maybe it could have sounded more heavy metal. But I think this is still really good. This is a really good sound of a song. It's still pretty interesting. And that's the end of the video. I have nothing else to say.